How are we doing, Papa Techie lovers? I know it's been a minute. It's November 22nd, and I kind of did a thing, and this is the thing. So essentially what I've got going here is a hybrid Swiss Army knife Victorinox Champ with a Cybertool and a Spyderco Roadie 2. So originally this was my Champ, and I ordered a Cybertool. I found a part kit for it. At the time they didn't have it for the Cybertool, which would be this piece right here along with this, the bit driver and the bits. They did not have this, and it was about $79.99 plus tax and shipping. And I saw a Cybertool on Amazon for about $99. So I just went ahead and got the Cybertool, took it apart, and essentially that just left me with a whole bunch of extra. And I'll end up taking this extra along with probably one of these sets of scales that I have here. I have my old Swiss clip and any number of scales to choose from: black, red, transparent. And I'll end up making another Swiss Army knife out of the extra and giving it to probably my son. So I did have to take it apart, of course, and then had to go through all the motions on learning on what that means. And essentially you can watch any number of tutorials on how to disassemble a Swiss Army knife, but you have these pins, they're soft pins, and then you have these bushings, and when you drill these out you tend to mess them up. So I ordered some new ones. I believe it was Sac Parts that I got them from. Not really super cheap, but when I'm on a mission, I'm on a mission. So I'm just sharing you some things that I learned and observed. This was the very first time I've ever modded a Swiss Army knife. So let's get to the good stuff right away. So here is the Spyderco, so it's essentially a Spydernox at this point. And this is the Spyderco, the Roadie 2. And what's amazing about this, it's almost as if it was designed for the 91mm Swiss Army tool. So let me show you what I'm talking about. And I had an unfortunate mishap, and I'll share that with you as well. So this is the handle, the scales that came with it, and they almost line up perfectly, the bolt holes do, with the 91mm Champ, which I thought was interesting. Unfortunately, the piece that came out of it, this is the piece that came out of the handle. You're like, oh, well, it's still in there. How did you get it out? Well, I actually had to order two because I broke the first one that I ordered. I know. Wow. What a mess, right? But that's okay, because when I'm on a mission, I'm on a mission. I broke this first one when I was trying to peen the rod. So this is the rod here, through that hole. Just overdoing it, kind of like a car mechanic turning wrenches who all of a sudden tries to assemble some wood furniture from IKEA. Just overdid it. But I wanted to share this with you because it also will help illustrate what I had to do looking at this piece here. So if you look carefully, I don't know if you can see that right here, there's a little extra divot. I had to file that down on this piece here to get it to fit there correctly. And instead of using this, I couldn't use this, even though it almost lined up perfectly. The problem was the center brass pin, there was nowhere for it to go here. So if you have a Champ in the fish scaler, which I removed from it, basically the spring, the back spring for the fish scaler, which kind of looks a little bit like this, it will work. This was not going to work for me, so I had to use the fish scaler spring, and you're going to end up needing to use 2 of the fish scaler springs in order to make that happen. I'll give you a couple measurements here, roundabout. So this is about 0.10 of an inch, or 2.8 millimeters. So that's what we're looking at when we put those 2 scales together. And this rod is essentially a 4 millimeter rod. And I got a set of rods off of Amazon, so I have a whole bunch of extra. I probably overkilled with this purchase. But what you just want to cut off a little bit, and then you want to tap it into this and do a little bit of peening with a hammer. And so there's plenty of tutorials on it, but the kind of hammer you want to use is going to be a ball peen hammer. You're going to want to use this end and then this end to make it happen. Of course, you got to find, in order to disassemble it, you're going to have a drill or some way to take these pins out, or some sort of Dremel tool or something like that to take these pins out and back them out. And then use, in this spring here, there's also, I'm going to use this other one as an example again. I believe this other one that I was showing you, now I seem to have lost it over here in my pile of stuff. Here it is. So it's pretty close to this. And then what I found is you're going to have to file this part down for the fish scaler spring. If you don't, what will happen is the Roadie 2 will kind of sit up like this, and it won't close all the way because the end piece would be catching on this piece right here. I'm going to try and demonstrate with the broken one, but it'll end up catching like this. So if you file this end down a little bit, this will lower down, and then you're also going to have to file this piece down. And I found out that the hard way, because the blade will hit and it will chip the blade, so you're going to have to file that down. So I've also filed this end down here so that this Roadie knife will close, and you can see it sits very well in there. If you slam it shut, it may hit, but that's okay. This steel here is M398 steel, and I actually ran it through my workshop. I have a workshop filer here, so I reprofiled this edge, and it seemed to be right around 17 degrees. It came out of the box super sharp. So I wanted to do that mod. Basically what I lost by doing this mod here, and again, it was the first time that I've done it, so it's a little bit interesting. I lost the little blade and the big blade. And what I found when I used it, I never used the big blade at all. I always used the little blade. I found it to be the most useful for opening packages, things like that. But when I saw the Roadie, I was like, maybe I'll try that mod. No sooner did I was thinking about that mod, they came out with this Roadie 2, and I was like, maybe I can do something else and just lose these 2 blades and add that in there. And then the other thing that I lost really was this fish scaler, so that kind of had to come out of the mix. And I think that's basically about it. Now, well, also, when you lose the blades, you lose this little shim here as well, so you don't need that anymore. It got a little bit wider. The overall width of this, make sure I'm zeroed out, is, with these scales, is about 38 millimeters, or 1.5 inches basically. So it got a little bit wider, and of course I've got my leather case, so I had to expand this thing out. This was made for the Cybertool, I mean not for the Cybertool, excuse me, for the Champ, and that's how I carry it. And I had to massage it out in order to get it to fit. And then I also added this clip on here, which is much smaller than the Swiss clip. So I actually like this. It doesn't take up as much real estate. And then I did a mod to open up this extra piece right here so I could put in a toothpick. Now, I'm having trouble getting it out right now. Well, anyways, I had to pull a toothpick out of my smaller Swiss Army knife because the larger toothpick won't fit in there anymore. And it might have just got stuck in there for right now. Yeah, so it goes in there. I had to do a mod. You'll see some mods online to put this in there as well, but it will fit in there. Let me see. Now that I said it will fit in there, it won't fit in there. So yep, it fits in there. I've got the toothpick, I've got the pen, I've got the Firefly fire steel in there. The other side, I've got these custom tweezers. Have little measurements on it, millimeters on one side, inches on the other. Little tweezers there. I got these scales off of Etsy. I thought they were really nice. I kept the can openers and the flathead over here. I really like these two tools. I modded this one here to be sort of like a package opener. And it came in handy one time when I was having to unzip a whole bunch of cable that I got. And I kept the, I know it seems kind of redundant, but I kept this screwdriver because I think I saw some mods where people were using this in different ways. So I may do that. I like having the magnifying glass because of the fact that I've got pins in here in case I get a splinter. And yes, I've used it to remove splinters. I kept the pliers from the Champ, but these are the Champ ones. And then I kept the scissors as well. And one thing I noticed that when putting this back together, it's very difficult trying to keep everything straight in your head, being that it was my first time, is I ended up with more tools on one side than the other, which is fine. And then of course I've got this Cybertool with the bits. And I wanted to have this. I was a little fascinated by this because one of the things that I'm always doing is I generally carry another knife as well, like a Spyderco or a Benchmade, and I wanted to have some Torx bits with me. And then I also wanted to have a different screwdriver because the kids are always asking me to change the batteries in their toys. So I was doing that. Again, the star of the show, the Roadie 2 Spyderco. So that's fun to have that in there. I'm going to see what I do with this on a regular basis. I think it's going to become my primary box cutter. And then of course the saw, I use this a lot for different things, primarily for cutting drywall, like if I have to fix something. So I'll be using that. And then of course I use the file for all kinds of different things. I use the file to make the mod on this piece here to open that third one out. And then I always keep a Firefly tinder starter and then the eyeglass repair kit because I'm getting old and have to wear glasses. Now one thing I did have to do was file this divider down a little bit just to get a thumbnail nick in there for this chisel. And I do like the chisel. I use that a lot for different things, scraping, so that's always a good tool to have. I kept the hook. I find the hook useful for various things, and I also like to use the hook because I carry it in a leather sheath. I'll actually hold this like this, and I think the hook's also a good thing for a pen hack that I saw. So if I put this in here, you know, and close it up, I can grab the string. It comes out a lot easier by holding on to the string. One of the pen mods that I saw with the hook feature was a person sticking a pen in there and then using this to write. Comes in useful like when I'm at Funville or skate rink or something with the kids and they've got their drinks and I've left my marker in the car and I want to mark whose cup this is. Tend to be around a lot of kids. And then of course the awl. I use this a lot. It's great for drilling holes in drywall if you're trying to put in some of those plastic anchors. And then this getting rid of this cork is great for removing plastic anchors, And also a lot of my kids will do things with that as well. And I also have the pin in here. Now, one thing that I noticed, I have a little issue with warping with this last piece, and that's because this doesn't belong in there. So it's kind of interfering with my safety pin, as well as I have two pins in here. I've got a safety pin, and then I've got a needle in there. So there's actually two holes. I did another mod of some of those mods I learned from Felix. If you don't know who he is, look him up on YouTube. But that was one thing that I'm having to contend with, is the fact that this one warped a little bit. So I don't know, I'm gonna have to figure that out. It's messing me up with these scales a little bit. But yeah, so losing the fish scaler, not a big deal. I kind of liked it, but didn't really use it that much. And then getting rid of the blades caused me a little bit of issues with this, because I wanted to keep this corkscrew, but nothing seemed to fit exactly where the blades were. But I end up with a Roadie 2, and then I end up with the Cybertool and the bit set that goes with it. Now, coming back to this real quick. So again, this is a 4mm brass rod, and then you cut a little piece and you tap it in there, and then you file it down, and then you're going to want to drill a hole in the middle of it so that you can run your pins through it. Your new pins, you're going to have to buy some new pins, these pins in here. And I ended up buying a hand drill set and a punch set to make this happen. It just makes your life so much easier. You get one of these spring-loaded punch sets, and you can, like, you push down on it and it pops. And it's going to help you when you use your drill bit. And the drill bit size, I believe that I used was 2.4. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a hand drill and drill it out. But anyways, I wanted to share that with you. The Spydernox Roadie 2 with the Cybertool Champ chassis. It lends to a little bit of EDC around the office, around toys, a little bit of outside stuff happening, and other quick fixes. So anyways, let's leave it here for you guys one more time, just showing that for you. And it's the Spyderco Victorinox Roadie 2 Champ Cybertool. So thank you, have a good one, peace.